What is the point in trying to negotiate with Colonel Gaddafi, and why are some African countries apparently dragging their feet in condemning what he is doing? They're two very big questions. Hopefully, in fact, we can try now to give you some of the answers, because it's the subject of today's top story. Join me here on set, our international affairs editor Armand Georgian, and also Pierre Cheruot, who's editor of Slate Africa. I'm going to start with you, Pierre. First of all, start of this week, South African President Jacob Zuma in Libya again negotiating. It almost appeared that not that much actually came out of it.
Yeah, but we don't have to forget that Jacob Zuma was very upset with what's happened in Ivory Coast, because in fact he went to Ivory Coast and tried to negotiate with Laurent Gbagbo, and at the end of the process it was a French solution. The French decided to get rid of Laurent Gbagbo, and he was very upset, because for Jacob Zuma they need African solution to African problem, and South Africa has to be the key partner to negotiate solution, and he's trying to do in Libya what he was not able to do in Ivory Coast.
It doesn't seem to be getting very far, though. I mean, a lot of people saying there's no point anymore in trying to negotiate with Gaddafi.
Yeah, it will be very difficult to negotiate, also because some of the African countries are not backing anymore Gaddafi, like Senegal. The President Abdoulaye Wade was very close to the Colonel Gaddafi, and a few days ago he decided to start to negotiate with CNT leaders, and he decided to change his point of view. Then it's getting very difficult for Gaddafi to have some friends in Africa at the moment.
And why do you think he's changed his mind?
Because many people in Africa see that the game is almost over, that at the end Gaddafi will lose his power, and they don't see the point to be still on this side. And I believe also because there is some pressure from France, from the US, and countries like Senegal are close to the US or to France, then they have to change their point of view.
OK, we'll come back and talk to you in just a moment. But another potential reason why some countries perhaps are a little hesitant perhaps in criticising Colonel Gaddafi is because of investment. Armand Georgian, our international affairs editors here. Just explain why that is, Armand.
Well, firstly, just a quick bit of background. Stuart, Gaddafi was originally a pan-Arabist. The high watermark of pan-Arabism was in the 60s when he came to power, so he was very much caught up with that. But when it declined afterwards in the 70s and later, he oriented his foreign policy southwards, trying to become a kind of moral authority, speaking on behalf of Africa. And that was backed up by all kinds of investments in African countries. If we look at a map which we've had done, you see all the countries. It's a bit of a lot of information to take in, but if you just concentrate on the countries in white, those are actually the ones where the Libyan the Libyan Arab African Investment Company has been very active. Around 20 countries you can see, not surprisingly, sub-Saharan Africa, but also a whole swathe going down through Central Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, all the way down to the southern tip to South Africa itself. And over the last 15 years, this company has invested more than $8 billion. It's very active now in Mali, has construction projects in Bamako, it owns hotels, various kinds of infrastructure, so that might explain why President Touré has been pretty hesitant. Also very close military relationship between Gaddafi and the authoritarian leader of Chad, Idris Deby, so he still does have quite a few close links on the continent.
And obviously, do you think the financial side of it is another aspect on top of all the others, I suppose, why people are continuing to not support Gaddafi, perhaps not be as critical as they might be?
I mean, it's obviously one factor, but as Pierre was saying, you know, there's a sort of reorientation, and some countries are now asking whether they wouldn't be better off actually being with the Western allies against Gaddafi.
Okay. Pierre, let's come back to you then. What do you think about the money side of it? Armand's explained it very clearly to us, but how much of an impact do you think that has had on people's opinions?
It's very important because Gaddafi has not invested only in hotels or in all kind of business. He invested a lot also in on the political side. He was backing many politicians in Africa, and many presidents did their campaign with Gaddafi money. Then it's very important. But on the other side, we don't have to forget that it's not only a financial matter, because we have to notice that many people in Africa have some kind of sympathy for him. For example, in Mali, many poor people see still at the moment Gaddafi as some of them as a hero, because he's fighting the Western world, a bit like in the past some of them were seeing Saddam Hussein as a hero. Then it's difficult to know exactly what some people are thinking about him.
Just to add to that, I think it's important also just to follow on what Pierre said, that it was only, a couple of months ago that Ivory Coast's leader was deposed, and the perception in many quarters in Africa was that it was really engineered and carried out by foreigners, or at least with foreign backing in the last stages of the assault, and perhaps Gaddafi can now benefit from some sense that once again Western allies are interfering with African affairs, and he might be able to ride some sort of a wave on that at least.
A lot of talk, of course, over the last week or so of it really is now the end of the Libyan regime. We also had those images earlier this week of the generals who'd decided to defect, were now in Rome. How close do you think we are? I'm not looking for a date, but I mean, are you virtually certain now that the end is near?
Yeah, it's supposed to be very near, but we don't have to forget that at the beginning of the conflict, many people were saying that it will be only 1 week. Like CNT people, they say we just need 1 week to get rid of Gaddafi. We see now that we have spent 100 days, and on the other side, we have also to notice that some key countries are still backing somehow Gaddafi. We don't have to forget about Algeria, because Algeria is a bit scared about what will happen in Libya, because they've seen what's happened in Tunisia, they've seen what's happened in Egypt, and they are a bit scared to see a lot of change in this part of Africa. And somehow, some of the Algerian leaders are not so keen to see a big change in Libya, and they don't want to see it to happen too fast.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us. That's Pierre Chereau from Slate Africa, and also our international affairs editor, Armand Georgian. Thank you very much. That was today's top story. Phil's here very shortly with the latest news. Stay with us.